Let's book the next 5 years of Sami Zayn's WWE career. At Survivor Series War Games in 2024, The Rock would return once again to the WWE, this time getting involved in the War Games match between the Bloodline and the OG Bloodline. The Rock would land a rock bottom on Roman Reigns, setting the scene for their eventual clash at WrestleMania 41, and allowing Solo Sikoa and his Bloodline to pick up the win. Whilst the War Games match would be a catalyst for a match between Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania, it would also thrust Sami Zayn into his own road to WrestleMania, with his soon-to-be WrestleMania opponent, Jacob Fatu. In the War Games match, Sami would plant Fatu with a splash from the top rope through a table, something that Fatu would not forget anytime soon. On the Smackdown following Survivor Series, Sami would be taken out by Jacob Fatu, as he would destroy Sami with not one splash through the announce table, but 2 splashes that incapacitate Sami and puts him on the shelf for the foreseeable. After a couple of months away, Sami would return at the 2025 Royal Rumble match, entering at number 29. Sami would eliminate Jacob from the match to a huge pop, but Fatu would return to the ring in the closing moments of the Rumble match to eliminate Sami and cost him the match. The match between Zayn and Fatu would be booked to take place at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Sami put on an incredible performance last year at WrestleMania 40 to defeat Gunther as the underdog, but this time around he would not fare as well, as Zayn would fall short to Jacob Fatu, struggling with the power and the freak athleticism possessed by the Samoan werewolf. After his defeat at Mania, Zayn would be drafted to Smackdown, where he would continue to feud with Fatu and the Bloodline. Zayn and Fatu would spend a few more weeks feuding with one another following WrestleMania. At the Payback PLE, Sami would team with John Cena as a part of his retirement tour in a winning effort against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Sami would get the last laugh in his feud with Fatu, defeating him on an episode of Smackdown in a street fight the following week. Zayn would later move on to a program with Carmelo Hayes at the end of the year, who was the US champion after defeating LA Knight at WrestleMania. Zayn battles Hayes at Night of Champions but fails to win the title due to cheating on the part of Hayes. He would go on to earn a second opportunity at Survivor Series, where he would finally defeat Hayes with a haluva kick to win the US title. In 2026, Zayn would move on to a program with Kevin Owens as he defends the United States Championship. Zayn would have several highly emotional and personal segments with Owens, where they would talk about how many battles they've had over the years in Ring of Honor, PWG, and of course WWE. Owens vows to make this the last battle, as he intends to end Sami's career once and for all at WrestleMania 42. WrestleMania would arrive and fans would be finally treated to a WrestleMania match between 2 longtime allies and enemies in Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. The match would certainly not disappoint, with plenty of back and forth action and near falls. But late in the match, Owens would land a piledriver on an area of exposed concrete. The trauma that Sami would sustain from this brutal piledriver would ultimately end the match prematurely. Zayn is deemed unfit to continue, and the referee has no choice but to declare Owens as the new United States Champion. After WrestleMania, Owens is drafted to Raw with the United States title. Sami Zayn returns as a surprise participant in the Money in the Bank ladder match a few months later in June, and to the joy of the fans, Zayn wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. For the rest of the year, Zayn has several opportunities to potentially cash in the briefcase, but the right moment never really presents itself, as Sami vows to only use the briefcase to redeem a fair match for the title and has no intention of cashing it in when the title holder is not ready for a match. In 2027, the Royal Rumble match has the vacated WWE World Heavyweight Championship on the line, after Damian Priest vacated the title due to injury. Leading up to the Rumble, on Raw, Kevin Owens loses a Rumble qualifying match and proceeds to beg GM Adam Pearce for a slot in the Rumble, but he is of course denied. At the Rumble, Sami Zayn bumps into Kevin Owens backstage. Zayn laughs in Owens' face about his failure to qualify for the Rumble match, rubbing salt in his wounds. Zayn has not forgot what Owens did to him at Mania and takes a lot of joy from rubbing Owens' failures in his face. Zayn enters the Rumble match at number 25, but on his way to the ring, he is attacked from behind by Kevin Owens. Owens lands another piledriver on the exposed concrete and steals Sami Zayn's spot in the match. Owens does the unthinkable and actually wins the Royal Rumble match to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Sami would return just a few weeks before WrestleMania 43 and would announce the cash-in of his Money in the Bank briefcase to take place at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title against Kevin Owens. One more time at Mania, Owens and Zayn will clash, but this time it's for the World Heavyweight Championship. Both Zayn and Owens would arrive with the intent to walk out of Mania as the champion, but of course only one can. Zayn and Owens would go to war in the match, with both men fighting like their lives are on the line. Ultimately, Sami picks up the win after a piledriver of his own to the concrete floor at ringside, followed by a haluva kick to become the World Heavyweight Champion. Sami Zayn achieves the greatest accolades so far in his WWE career, winning a major title at WrestleMania and getting some revenge on his former friend. Zayn would have an honourable run with the title, retaining it several times in the coming months, but he would however end up dropping it back to Owens at SummerSlam in a loser leaves town match, effectively removing him from the WWE roster. A couple of months later, Austin Theory would run his mouth on Raw, claiming that he's the best wrestler on the roster. Week by week, he would go one-on-one with a local jobber, rather than testing himself against worthy main roster superstars. Theory would put his place on the roster on the line in these matches. If the jobber were to win, then they would take his spot on the roster. Theory would defeat local competitors week by week, but he would soon play with fire too much as WWE heads to Mexico. Theory would await the arrival of this week's jobber, but his face would drop when out comes El Generico. Fans remember that Generico is Sami Zayn's old gimmick from his days prior to joining WWE. Generico manages to pin Theory, therefore earning a spot back on the roster. Kevin Owens would proceed to spend weeks protesting that Generico is actually Sami Zayn, and that everybody knows this, but people are just turning a blind eye. Owens demands that CCO Triple H makes Generico unmask to reveal himself as Zayn, but Hunter says that he can't make a luchador take off his mask. Hunter would say that it doesn't matter if Generico is Sami Zayn or not, whoever he is, he has a spot on the roster. Kevin Owens would spend weeks trying to remove Generico's mask, which he would eventually do, after attacking Generico in the parking lot. Owens removes Generico's mask and of course reveals Sami Zayn. Triple H would call out Owens the following week, saying it's a disgraceful act to remove a luchador's mask. Therefore, he's going to give Sami a shot at revenge, and a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship inside a Hell in a Cell at the Hell in a Cell PLE. Zayn and Owens would go to war inside the Cell structure, and Zayn would ultimately defeat Owens once again to recapture the title, winning his second WWE World Heavyweight Championship of his career. In 2028, with his feud with Kevin Owens behind him and as the new World Heavyweight Champion, Zayn looks on to new challenges. At WrestleMania 44, he would face Gunther for the World Championship, 4 years in the making since their last clash in 2024 at WrestleMania 40. Zayn would drop the title to the ring general at WrestleMania, and Gunther gets his win back against Sami. In the summer of 2028, Sami Zayn would defeat Dexter Lumis on an episode of Raw. Dexter Lumis has struggled to win any matches lately, mainly due to his very obvious and well-documented psychological issues. Dexter's issues cause him to get himself disqualified quite often, due to outbursts of anger and just not listening to the referee. Zayn feels sorry for Lumis after defeating him and decides to appoint himself as Lumis's counsellor. Zayn knows that if Lumis is ever going to build up some momentum in WWE, he needs to overcome his anger, as his uncontrollable rage and unpredictable emotions are derailing his career. Although Zayn aims to help Lumis and guide him towards success, there are those who try to use Lumis's size and aggression as a weapon, like Karrion Kross, who has tried to utilise Lumis for his own gain. Zayn manages to help contain Lumis's anger over the coming weeks, and the duo would win tag team matches along the way. Zayn really begins to help transform Lumis from someone who has very clear issues into a superstar who is on track to success in WWE. Zayn and Lumis would go on to win the tag team titles in a real step in the right direction. But with every high, there comes a low. Karrion Kross resurfaces once again. He has noticed that Loomis's size, strength and in-ring ability has helped Zayn capture the World Tag Team titles. Cross notices that he can use Loomis to help him win championships too. Cross knows that to use Loomis effectively, he must drive a wedge between him and his tag team partner Sami Zayn. Karrion Kross starts to get into the head of Loomis. He says that Sami is using Loomis to get back to the top of WWE. In the end, Kross manipulates Loomis into thinking that this is true, and Dexter turns on Sami in their tag team title defense in late 2028 as he plants Zayn with a chokeslam after a miscommunication between the two. In 2029, Loomis helps Kross win the Intercontinental Championship early in the year. Zayn tries to tell Dexter that Kross used him to help him win the title, but he can never really get to speak to him for too long. In the end, Zayn challenges Kross to a match at WrestleMania for the title, which Kross accepts, but only if Zayn puts his career on the line. Zayn faces Kross at WrestleMania 45 in what could be Zayn's final WWE match. Sami makes it his mission to go out swinging in what could be his final attempt to win the IC title. Late in the match, Kross beats down Zayn in the middle of the ring to the point where it's quite difficult to watch. Loomis watches on, but you can tell he's quite uncomfortable with what's transpiring. Kross tells Loomis to chokeslam Zayn, but he doesn't want to. Kross slaps Dexter in the face, which awakens the anger within. Loomis hits Kross with a brutal punch that sends him flying across the ring. Kross gets to his feet, but unfortunately for him, it's in the corner. He stood in prime position for Zayn to connect with a haluva kick. Zayn pins Kross and becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. Dexter Loomis and Sami Zayn are once again friends, and Karrion Kross's plan to remove Sami from WWE falls through. Loomis finally realises that he's much better off without Kross manipulating him. Now that his career will continue, Sami begins a new journey with the Intercontinental title and knows that he will always have Dexter Loomis watching his back. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like and subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you on the next one.